we have already gotten a few questions from some readers about Cyprus and the fact that there is a bit of a history of political issues in Cyprus. So let's address some of these directly right now. So one of our first questions we got a few days ago, my only real concern about Cyprus is the unsettled territorial status. The world seems to be shifting into more uncertain times. Living in a disputed area might be a risk worth explaining. Another person followed up to this comment to reply and say, I wonder about that too. There's always been tension between Greece and Turkey over Cyprus, which is divided. So I'm going to just cede the floor to you guys. How do you respond to this?
Well, actually, going back to the first question about the territorial dispute, there is no territorial dispute about the status of the country. This is one country, it's Cyprus. And we do have a political issue between the sides in Cyprus. That is correct. And other than that, the political issue really is an ongoing issue for the past, 50 years. It's called a frozen issue, frozen conflict. And on and off, we do have sometimes occasionally, like every 5 or 10 years, that we try to get back together. On both sides, people really do want to get together, but it's a negotiation process, and so far we haven't been successful. Just recently, there has been a change in presidency in the country, and the new president is very adamant about finding a solution. And we're quite hopeful that this Cyprus issue comes to an end at one point. Now, Greece and Turkey is not fighting on Cyprus. They have their own problems, in their borders and everything, and the islands and everything. But Cyprus is an independent nation on its own. It is formed of Greek and Turkish components, but again, it's not a part of either Greece or Turkey. So this has to be really clarified. It's, as I said, ethnically there are Greek and Turkish populations, but it's got nothing to do with the Republic of Turkey or Republic of Greece as a whole. So not to be confused or mixed up.
I will just chime in to say that I was there not a year ago, I think less than a year ago, we were there to see for ourselves what the situation is and what it feels like, what the country feels like, what it looks like. And I never had any inkling of any kind of distress on the island. It's a very happy island. Everyone is just going about their business. And you don't see any remnants of this dispute, except maybe when you're crossing the border. Of course, there is still, as the one reader commented, this is still a divided island. But it's for all intents and purposes an open border. You can cross easily one way and the other. I did it myself. So I went back and forth, it's easy. If you're in Nicosia, the capital, which is almost the center of the island, where the green line, as it's known, the separation line is kind of stems from Nicosia. And so in Nicosia, you can even walk across the border. There are streets where there is a border, and it's for pedestrians to cross.
Right. Actually, we like to call it checkpoints instead of being at the border. The locals prefer to call it checkpoints. Yes, there's a political issue that has been going on for the past 50 years, close to 50 years. And as I said, we're working on it on and off. Okay. We're very hopeful that it's going to go away in the near future. But yes, for our readers to know this, there is a political issue that's going on. But is it affecting our day-to-day lives? Is it affecting our, the lives of our children, anything, our security, anything like that? No, not at all. There's nothing like that. As I said, it's a frozen issue. Hopefully, it'll go away soon. We're working on it. And the new president is quite adamant about solving it in the nearest possible future.
So I was actually I noted when I was there because people who are listening to this or reading about Cyprus, reading what we're saying about Cyprus. If you're of an older generation, your memory of Cyprus might be the Cyprus problem, as it was dubbed by Europe, 80 years ago or whatever it was. And that's not the case anymore. And so it used to be that, if you are familiar with this issue as it was talked about in the past, overseas in the West, by mostly Britain and also a little bit America, If you're familiar, you might have heard, Turkish Cypriots versus Greek Cypriots. Nowadays, I think it's more common. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think people like to just call themselves islanders, Cypriots.
Yes.
And when I was there, I actually noticed more than anything, people, if two people from the north or the south came together, and were being introduced, they would say, my brother from the south, my sister from the north. So I actually found that very endearing. It was almost like just a very particular way. In France, you say Monsieur, Madame, like it's my brother, my sister.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a way of you guys, putting it out there in the fore of the discussion that no, we are trying to reunite. There may be a lot of other stuff going on, but on a day-to-day basis, when we're doing business, when we are taking our kids to school, whatever it is, we are all Cypriots.
Yeah, and if you think logically about it, in order for us to be able to reunite, it's only logical to understand that we were one people, one population, for half a millennia. We were living together, we believed in one side believed in Christianity, whatever, but it's the same culture, same food, same music, same folklore, everything is the same.
Yeah.
This issue that we have, this political issue, is only for the past 50 years. We'd like to think that it's a temporary issue. Of course, some people would like to cling on to the idea that they're Turkish or they're Greek and everything, but most people see themselves as Cypriots. And when Cypriots run into each other, 90% of the time we call each other like brothers or sisters, or there is this cultural positive exchange all the time. So on our day-to-day lives and everything, I spend maybe more than half of my free time, social time, in the south with my Greek Cypriot friends. Anyways, for example, I'm a typical example of that. I believe Soylem is quite similar as well. So it's not like there's this political issue and somebody's fighting all day long. No, it's not like that. And really we're really hoping that it's going to go away sometime soon and become one reunited island in the very near future.
Right. And so aside from culturally and socially that being a great thing for the country to be reunited, let's look at it a little bit more practically, a little bit more shrewdly. What does that mean for you as an investor investing in the North right now, and the potential for this reunification? So it is a big, big deal. We shouldn't gloss over the fact that there was an election. I think it was last week. A new president was elected in the Republic of Cyprus. And all it takes is one man with one mission to figure out how to do this. Hopefully, the dominoes will fall behind him. But what? Let's look at that. Let's take the hypothetical to the end. So imagine I'm buying in Northern Cyprus right now. Currently, Northern Cyprus is not technically part of the EU. This is a very confusing gray area because the EU rights will be extended to Northern Cyprus as soon as it is reunited politically. So should that happen, what does that mean for people who are looking at Northern Cyprus right now for an investment?
Cyprus as a whole, the Republic of Cyprus as a whole, is part of the European Union. However, the European Union laws and regulations have been suspended in the north pending a solution for the Cyprus problem. So that is correct. Now, I understand your question, and as an investor, I'm going to be very open about this. The properties, some of the lands in the north are being, questioned. Who owned these properties? Were some Greek Cypriot person owned it? Is it a Turkish Cypriot person owned it? And there is this question that is being going on, and it's a valid question. There's nothing to hide about it. There's nothing to conceal about it. It is a valid question. There are some people, some Greek Cypriots, who lived in the north but had to migrate to the south, and there are some Turkish Cypriots who lived in the south and had to migrate to the north. So there is this movement between populations, which was done 50 years ago, but they're immovable properties, obviously. Some of them have not been dealt with as we speak. However, starting from 2005, there is what is called the Immovable Property Commission. And Immobil Property Commission it's like a court that is being suggested. The formulation of it was suggested by European Court of Human Rights, so that these peoples who have been affected by this population, their property rights could be addressed. Now, as of yesterday, I just checked the website, and as of yesterday, the 22nd of February, more than 7,000 applications have been lodged into this commission, and about 1,700 and something applications have already been completed. And it's about 350 million pounds, which is about, if you do 20%, it's about 420 million US dollars have already been awarded in terms of compensation for the people who had left property in the north and had to migrate to the south. This issue is being dealt with as we speak. I'll be happy to share the links about this, this body, this organization that is dealing with this issue. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's quite a large geography that we're talking about, and this issue is being dealt with on a case-by-case basis. It is taking time. People need to prove that they really actually own these properties and they have the rights on these properties, etc., etc. However, a legal, legitimate body is on the field since 2005 for the past 17 years, and it's dealing with this issue on a case-by-case basis. And this is basically how it will be resolved, how it's being resolved as we speak. So, as I said, is there an ongoing issue about this? Yes. However, is there a remedy that is an ongoing, actual valid remedy that is being done as we speak? Yes, that's also the case. So I appreciate the questions of our readers, of our investors. Yes, there is an issue, but we're solving it on a case-by-case basis, on a plot-by-plot basis, and hopefully, it will be gone very soon.
And when, just to put it into more realistic terms, this is not going to affect most investors who are looking currently at land there. They're not likely to come across, for example, it would only affect resale properties, right? If they happened across a resale property that happened to have been lodged as a dispute at some point, the odds of that happening are very, very slim. Most of the investments, especially that we are talking about at Live and Invest Overseas, are, as we said, off plan or pre-construction, which means they're in larger developments. That means they're definitely not disputed territory. This is...
No, individual purchasers, individual buyers by law, by European law, are not affected.
Right.
Basically, the applicants who would like to get reimbursed or compensated, they're applying to this court, which is a governmentally formed court. So nobody's dealing on a person-to-person basis.
Right.
It's actually the person between the government or the governmental body, which is a court, that is basically doing this transaction between one another. So individual purchasers, individual investors have got nothing to do with this.
Nothing to concern themselves with.
Yeah, nothing to concern themselves with. Actually, on the contrary, if their properties are being remedied or being compensated, obviously there's not going to be any more claims on it anymore, so the prices go up on these types of properties as well. So it's a positive thing that is going on this. And yes, there is this urban legend about the Cyprus issue and this, and it's divided. But no, on our day-to-day lives, it's got nothing to do with it. People, as you rightly said, think about the past and how it happened, but steps are being taken to resolve it, to take care of it. And property issues, one of the major issues, yes, 100%. But since 2005, 2006, it's already been on the field, and basically these courts are taking care of it on a case-by-case basis. So for an individual investor, there is nothing to even think about in this issue.
And I will point out that the fact that of all of these past problems, the fact that they have existed and taken place is the reason we're looking at such fantastic values and opportunities in the North right now. The fact that the North was, for all intents and purposes, it was cut off. Nobody was allowed in and out for a long time, which meant there was no foreign investment, which meant there's a lot of virgin beachline, virgin coastline, ripe for development. And this is the moment we find ourselves in, this moment in time when Northern Cyprus is on a turning point. The values are still are outdated, frankly. These values reflect more what beach property in the Mediterranean should have been decades ago. And that actually it means that once there is a potential reunification, whether or not that happens, these properties are appreciating no matter what. But if the country were to reunite, that would, I mean, these property values would skyrocket, really.
Right. Yes, that was the point that I wanted to make. Once we manage to basically solve this Cyprus problem, Cyprus issue, 100% this political issue will go away. Then the property prices, the minimum property price, comparable property prices are about 2 to 2.5 times in the other part of the republic, in the southern part of the republic. So, okay, our property prices are going up and up and up and up, but there's still, 250%, room to grow even further as of, starting from today, even if we start from today. So as investors, people need to think about this, where is the most possible gain? As I said, we're not guaranteeing any specific date that this will happen, but
right.
Things are moving in one direction. People can see, people can do their own due diligence, but once they do a comprehensive research about this, and I say comprehensive, they will come across exactly what I'm telling them right now. It's a procedure. It's been taken care of one by one. It's since 2005, 2006, but once it's done, it's already, the prices will go up drastically, and the opportunity will be missed at that point.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I mean, let's also not forget about the fact that once the EU rights and laws, regulations take effect in Northern Cyprus, this also means that your residency could lead to a path to a passport, which could then be an EU passport, which is not an insignificant passport to hold.
Right.
So there are many, many opportunities here. And as I say, we find ourselves at this moment in time and the arc of history bends towards justice. So let's hope that, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, it may not be you who sees this, but perhaps your children, your grandchildren who might inherit this property, should you choose to invest on this gorgeous island. You get to use it in the meantime. You have a wonderful vacation opportunity. And at some point in the future, it may end up that you got more than you bargained for, and you've got a few extra benefits.
Right. Bells and whistles on top of what you already bargained for. You're right.
Exactly.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
We do have one other question. I mean, this really piggybacks on the other two questions we asked. The unsettled political situation in Cyprus between Greece and Turkey seems to make the Cyprus option very shaky, especially the northern Turkish option. And I think we've addressed this question. The political situation, sorry, go ahead.
There is no political situation on Cyprus between Turkey and Greece. No, this is a total misunderstanding, not doing enough research. There is a political issue between Turkish Cypriots, meaning Turkish living in Cyprus, original, or Greek Cypriots, Greeks living in Cyprus, original. And when I say original, these people have been living together for the past 500 years, and Republic of Greece was formed in 1821. Republic of Turkey was formed in 1923. So both countries were not even formed yet. We have been living together for a very, very long time. So
very American identity. Like, we have developed a Cypriot identity in the 500 years, which is like you have had a 500 years of living in the States, which you developed that American identity. I think you should relate to an extent, because like Ottoman Empire origin Cypriots been living here for more than 500 years, which like in that time we have developed a shared Cypriot identity for all of us.
Yes, 100%.
Fantastic. I think that that really does, I think, answer all the questions. Again, if anybody does have any lingering issues with or questions or confusion about any of this, please do let us know in the comments. We'll be happy to address any of these issues in the future to put your mind at ease. But I think it should also be said that this part of the world, Cyprus specifically that we're talking about, is not very well known to Americans, Canadians, North Americans in general. It is quite far away. It's quite far to the edge of Europe. And a lot of Americans just aren't that familiar with this part of the world. That doesn't mean, though, that the rest of the world isn't already onto you. Brits are savvy. They've been coming down there. I mean, colonized for a
Yes.
while. But even since colonization, they have been enjoying the beaches. I mean, back in the, what was it, the 70s, before some of the troubles really broke out, Cyprus was a hot spot. I just was reading
Right.
that Liz Taylor and Bridget Bardot,
Right.
these
Right.
sirens of the screen from the
Right.
60s and 70s. There was
Right.
a Varosha was the big
Right.
big resort,
Right.
and it was just
Original Las Vegas. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly what I heard about it.
Right.
And it was, there was the American mafia was going down there. I mean,
Right.
it was the place to be.
Right.
So it had a moment, a window where Americans were becoming aware of it. And then
Mhm.
unfortunately, things went bad. And
Right.
I think Americans forgot about it since then. But in the meantime, Brits, Scandinavians, Western
Right.
Europeans have all been not just vacationing in Cyprus, but in the north and the south, since the north has been open, but also investing there. So I know,
Right.
I mean, I can probably name 5 British friends that I know, or Irish friends that I know, who own or their family owns a
Sure.
vacation property in Cyprus. Do you guys know any of the statistics about foreign investment in Cyprus as it is?
Which type of statistics?
Like
Yeah.
how many Brits maybe are homeowners down there? Are there any statistics following that?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure we can get them.
Yeah, no worries, but it's
Yeah.
just it's interesting to know, or it's significant to point out that just because we're not quite so aware of it in the Americas, Europeans have been on to Cyprus for a long time, and they've never stopped coming. They've been enjoying the beautiful sunshine, the beaches, the nature, and investing there for quite some time. So while it may take a little bit more education, a little bit more familiarity,
Right.
I think Americans shouldn't miss the boat on this. Don't let it only be the Brits who make out on this.
Yes. Well, we're always here to assist with any and all questions, and everything's out there in the open. And we'll be happy to answer anything our readers would like to find out more about us, about our country, about our history, geography. We're here. And yeah.
Fantastic. Any final words, Soilem, about anything at all?
I think we've covered most of it, but as we discussed, only residency, if there's any other things that, our readers are wondering about, just they can leave a comment and we'll be happy to get to them.
Exactly. Yes. Please do let us know what you're thinking. Are you interested in Cyprus? Does this seem like does this not appeal to you at all? Let us know, good or bad. We'd love to hear from our readers. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to sit with us today. And I hope we can continue this conversation between ourselves and with our readers. And so hopefully we'll speak with you again soon, but thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a great day.